Good morning. We're going to continue on with our media availabilities here at Michigan International Speedway in advance of the Quicken Loans 400 with the defending NASCAR Sprint Cup Series champion, driver, the number 2 Miller Lite Penske Ford, Brad Keselowski. Brad, talk about your mindset going into this race.
Sure. I want to win. That's my mindset going into the race. This is, to me, one of my personal biggest races of the year. And I think for any driver, when they go to their home racetrack, it's kind of the equivalent to them of going to Daytona or going to the Brickyard or any of those other really large races. And that's certainly the case for me. Coming back home to Michigan, a win here would mean the world to me. And we've been close. And we had the second place finish here in August, which it was good and bad. You're just close enough to where you know you can do it, but feel so far away, and would like to figure out that last spot. But I think we got a good shot at that. We had a really strong run last week at Pocono, and kind of got foiled there at the end. But I think we're slowly getting back into it speed-wise, and found some things to get us there, and hopefully that'll carry over this weekend, and we can get home or bring home our first win of 13, and here at my home track, that would really be optimal for me.
You got the drive across the bridge here a couple of weeks ago. What was that experience like?
Well, that's one of the great things about being a race car driver from Michigan is there's not many of them. And so when you have any success, it's a big deal. And this being the car town it is, I think we all know how important Detroit is to automobile racing and the support of the sport. To be able to do a first in a car is something rare. So to be the first to drive a race car across the Mackinac Bridge and kind of what that means to the state and in support of the Speedway was certainly an honor as well.
We're going to open it now to questions. Please raise your hand and state your name and affiliation. We're going to start off here with Pete.
Hey, Brad, Pete Pistone from SiriusXM NASCAR Radio. You made some comments yesterday about teams taking and stealing, your words, personnel from other teams. Can you elaborate on what you meant on that and your perception of that?
Well, we were just talking about Ford and, specifically the relationship between Penske and Roush and, how strong it was. And, I just commented on there will always be limitations to our relationships company to company because of those transactions.
Go back to Marty.
Marty Smith, ESPN. Brad, you raced against Leffler a lot in the Nationwide Series. Give me your impressions of him and what you remember most about Jason.
Yeah, obviously it was a really, really rough day or night when all that went down this week. Just kind of rewinding through how it all played out, at least for me. I just, still kind of in shock about it all. It's hard to believe the next time I go to a racetrack that I won't see Jason. I don't think that's really sunk in for me, and I don't know if it's really sunk in for anyone. Because that's the kind of racer he is. He's a racer you could see him at any track, whether it was here for the Cup race or last week for the Cup race at Pocono or some late model race or a sprint car show on the other end of the country that you just show up to watch. He could be there. And the experience that I've had with him is just that he was a pure racer who cared enough for the sport that even when there was a race that he perhaps wasn't going to make a lot of money off of or make a strong living from, he raced it because that's what he does. That's who he is, or who he was, I should say. And that's a real racer. And Jason may not have had the most amount of success at the Cup level, but at the end of the day, he has the respect of the garage. He had the respect of the garage. I can't even put it in past tense because that's how it's still in my mind. But he had the respect of the garage because he was a racer, because he would do those things. And that's hard to come by in this garage. It's hard to earn some respect. And Jason had it, because of his commitment to the sport in that sense. Obviously, he was still a very talented racer who won who won at a lot of levels, which gives him a lot of respect as well. But he was just a pure racer, and there's those are tough to see lost. They're hard to come by, especially these days, and tough to see lost because I think most all of us at this level can really relate to that.
Go to David next, then to Stanley, then to Lee.
Yeah, David Newton, ESPN.com. A year ago, Junior won here, and people were like, this is going to be it. He's going to take off. He's going to win all these races, and he hasn't. Is that just a sign of how tough it is to win in this sport, or what do you see that as a sign of?
I don't know that I have really enough information to say why Dale Jr. hasn't won more races. That he probably could answer that better than I have, or can, I should say. But any given driver, any given team, and I've said this before, past success is not a guarantee of future success. It's certainly a stat, something that we can all look at and try to look for trends, but it's never a guarantee. And I look at that and say that you still have to put the work in it, whether you're the reigning winner of a race or the reigning champion. When it comes to the next year, the next race, the next whatever it might be, that guarantees you nothing in the sport. You still have to go out there and earn it on that given day, that given weekend, that given season. And that's part of what I really love about this sport. That's what gives everyone an opportunity to succeed. And that's part of my own challenge for this year. So that, in a lot of ways I can relate to him in that sense.
Go to Stanley, then next to Lee.
Stan Creekmore with RPMTonight.com, all the way in the rear, Brad.
All right, got you.
There you go, bud. If you would, in a single word, describe a lap at this racetrack, and then follow that up with the definition of how you get to that word.
A single word? Oh, it's just fast. I don't have a Nate Ryan word. I'm sorry. He doesn't either. I don't know if Nate's here. That'd be a lot funnier if he was here. He's here, but not here. It's fast. This is, to me, the fastest track we have. And it might be, in speed, but it's definitely in feel. The Indy cars, when they ran around here, I think they used to go about 240, give or take a couple mile an hour. And I can't remember if it was Juan Montoya, someone who had drove those cars in that era. I was asking about, it had to be Juan. He's the only one that drove those cars in those eras in stock cars right now. And he was talking to me, I think we were at the tire test here last year, and he said, the stock car feels faster. And I think that has a lot to do with how these cars drive, how on edge they are, because even though we might set record speeds here and the track has a lot of grip, that doesn't necessarily mean it's easy to do. Sometimes it is, but this particular surface, this whatever asphalt that they laid down where it's got the really tight aggregate, I think you see it barely wears out, and it doesn't even seem to really brighten up with the sun. It's so slick and so hard to get a hold of, especially within concert with the Goodyear tire that is here or used on that asphalt, that at any given second you feel like you're going to bust your butt. Sometimes even down the straightaway, when you go to make a pass and try to pull down and make an aggressive move, you can feel the car slide around a lot and go, whoa. So that makes this type of racetrack feel faster than it even is, and it's still the fastest track we have on the circuit.
Good.
No problem, Stan.
Then to the gentleman right over there.
Lee Spencer, Fox Sports. After what happened with Jason the other day, do you have any trepidation going to Eldora without safer barriers and running on dirt with your truck cars, or with your truck teams rather?
I don't. Trepidation, that's a big word. if trepidation means hesitation, I don't run those races for a reason. There are a handful of drivers that run. I have teams, yes, certainly. There are a handful of drivers that run at the local level, Lee. I don't very often. I'm not going to say I never have, but I don't very often because they don't have safer barriers. And they don't have the safety standards that we have here in NASCAR. And that said, that's not to say that all tracks in NASCAR have it right either. There's quite a few, and I think Jeff Gordon so eloquently pointed that out a couple of weeks back, that could use some serious upgrades and facelifts. But it's, even 100 times worse at the local level. It's funny because I talked to my dad about it, who raced local short tracks, and every once in a while we'll talk about some track that he went to with my brother or whatever situation, and I'll ask him how it was, and he'll tell me, well, it hasn't changed since 1975 when I was last there. I'm pretty sure safety has taken some pretty big leaps forward since 1970-something. And I think that's the issues facing the safety at most local tracks. Obviously, it's not a simple issue. They have funding limitations that, kind of plague at that level. But, yeah, I'm nervous for anyone that races at those levels because I know what happens if something goes wrong and those safety standards aren't there. That said, I don't know what happened to Jason, and maybe it was completely unrelated, and I don't want that to be confused. But still, the safety standards at local short tracks are, they're out of control. They're dismal. But we still go on and we keep racing because that's what we do as racers. And we'll race here today, and we'll race at the next short track on a Friday or Saturday night that doesn't have those things, and someone will, because that's the love and passion that we have for the sport and what makes it what it is. It's a shame that it takes. It's a shame that our industry is reactive, and I wish it wasn't. And that's a much bigger piece than NASCAR. That's the whole industry of racing. We have a tendency to wait until something bad happens before we fix things, and we need to stop that. That's how you prevent things like this from happening. But that's just not in our culture. Unfortunately for the 5-year-old little boy that lost his dad, that's our sport.
Hi, Brad. This is John Papworth from the Daily Telegram. And I was just wondering, what kind of driver are you today with the Sprint Cup Championship under your belt compared to when you were racing at Dixie or Auto City when you were 16?
Well, that's been a long time ago. What kind of driver am I now compared to then? Well, I'd like to think I'm a lot smarter. Sometimes that's not always the case. Every once in a while I'll go back and watch a tape from when I was racing at that age and, kind of heckle myself and say, what'd you do that for? You should have made this move or that move. But, I think with anyone who's had the benefit of experience, that you become a little smarter, a little wiser, and hopefully a little better. And other than that, I'd like to think I haven't changed that much. I still have the same desire, the same passion, and drive to prove myself on any given weekend.
Brad, thank you so much for joining us here, and good luck this weekend.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.